Hi there, welcome to Sunnyside Journals. I'm Catherine. I have a flip through today of a journal I recently created using the cover and some of the pages, the interior pages, from a book that actually started its life as the Tragedies of Shakespeare. This book was published in 1925, so it's quite old, but it's not quite 100 years old. Pretty close. This book was quite sad looking when I first got it. If you follow along on my YouTube account here or on my Instagram account, you'll see that at one point here and here was tired and blue. It had the crest of a Naval Academy from over in England on the cover. And I just thought it needed to look a little more elegant. I wanted a little bit more drama for this book, and I think I achieved it. It certainly is what I envisioned and hoped for. I put a painting on the cover. It's a print out of a book. I cut up old books, in case you're wondering. Everything that I put into my journals comes from repurposed sources. So I find books at thrift stores, out of to be tossed that are in the recycling box, from rummage sales, you name it. If it's old and used and abused and probably going to be chucked, that's my kind of book. And I love making something new out of it. So everything you see in here has come from repurposed, pre-loved sources. All the papers, all the ribbons, all the laces, that sort of thing has been from a repurposed source. And if I come across something that I have purchased brand new, as we go through it, I'll let you know. There's not a lot. I really, really like when a junk journal truly is junk. So anyhow, yes, 1925, this was published. It has, I've taken out the original text block, put in a new one. It now has 312 pages of varying sizes and many, many, many pages for writing in. It's quite a writer's journal, I would say, for to record things in. Although it's certainly up to the new owner. What they wish to do with their journal is up to them, and that's the cool thing about these. Now, as I said, a painting from on the cover. This is from, I hope I'm pronouncing it properly, Gerard Borch, I believe a Dutch painter. And on the back, I thought, since she's reading a letter, I thought let's put a letter on the back. And this letter came from a book I have on the life of Beethoven. And this was actually a contract that was sent to Beethoven. And I'm not sure what it all says. It's not in English. But if you look closely, you can see his name there. I didn't cover it up. And then you can see that this letter, obviously it is a scan of the original letter, 1795. I doctored it up a little bit so that it looks like maybe this book has been on somebody's side table and they put down a drink and had a sip and put it back down again, and that it just looks lovingly used, and that it's, although I like it to sort of look like it's back to being 1925, but in a cool way, if you know what I mean. Let's see how big it is. It is not quite 5 inches wide. It is 7¼ inches long. And then, as I said, with 312 pages, it's quite wide. Not quite 2 inches. Just shy of 2 inches. So because it's such a hefty girl, I decided to put ribbons on the sides just to close it in case this size of book tends to be prone to becoming an alligator mouth. And this will help keep everything inside. So we'll open this up. I've used sari silk as the closures. Now, this sari silk is something that I did purchase from a shop on Etsy. So I like that whenever I can to support a small business. And the ribbon that I adorned it with came from Happy Mail. So inside, right away, you'll see this is actually the original front page of the original text block in the book. Now, I had a bit of fun adorning the inside end paper. There's an ex libris here that I've left blank so the new owner can write whatever they like in it. And doily, key, and a little fussy cut of a little bird. This book, as you'll see, is what I fondly refer to as an all sorts book because it has all sorts of stuff in it. There's not necessarily a theme or a rhyme or reason, and you just never know what you're going to find on a page turn. For this, that was previously the front page, I made it into a little tuck spot with a journaling card that was made out of a playing card. And I've just tucked that back there, but you can put whatever you like back there. If it fits, that's your little hiding spot. Over here, I have made a pocket out of the publication date. So you can see there, 1925. Here is, I decided to include him. He's been on my my welcome card for the month of January, and I decided he needs to go with the book since this is the book I worked on all month. I don't know who he is. I find these pictures in things. This is a fussy cut of John Calvin, and I just like how he's looking towards the book, and perhaps he's thinking, I wonder what's in this book, and he's holding a book. So I think that's kind of fun. And as you're going to start seeing, there's a lot of blank pages ready for you to put whatever you like in it. I've added some frills and ruffles and sewing here and there. The sewing threads I have left long, but I have tied them off. So if you don't like them, you can trim them closer and get rid of all these threads. I like the drama. Here is an actual vintage library catalog card, and I thought that might make for some fun journaling spot, or you can have some fun making this into your own journaling tag. This is a page. This is a picture from out of an old dictionary, so I've turned it into a tuck spot, did a bit of sewing. And here is a page, the front page, first page from Romeo and Juliet. And in each signature of the book, and there are 9, I have used a page from out of the original text block. This is out of an old magazine. This page is out of a book of Scottish music that I have that I'm not sure how old it is. I do believe it's from the 1930s or earlier. The dedication that was handwritten inside the book was dated 1934. So I know that it's at least 1934, but it could be older. And again, some tea-dyed paper. Here's a page out of a Beatrix Potter book. I believe it's Miss Moffat, but I can't recall now. I'd have to look that up. Again, lots of blank pages. I did a lot of deckled edge, just for a little variety. I really had fun having no rhyme or reason in what I put into this book, and I like how it turned out. This paper, and there are 3 sheets of it in this book, has beautiful gold marbling on it. I received that in Happy Mail. On this page, I added a tuck spot made from tickets. These I received in Happy Mail. And then I made a journaling card out of an old bingo card. And I just had fun collaging and playing with it. That person is a member of Laura Ingalls Wilder family. I'm not sure who it was. I had a book on her biography, and I didn't write down who that is. But there's room for journaling, and I like how that turned out. So I've just tucked that there. You can put it wherever you like. Here's a little old envelope that was from a vintage Valentine's set that I found. But inside, I did a little stamping on it I got some new stamps this month. But inside, I put a playing card that I received in Happy Mail. I thought he looked rather Shakespearean in his outfit, and he looked old enough to actually have been in this book. Poor guy. And then there's room for journaling on the back. So I tucked him in there instead. And then the behind is you can tuck things in. So I just put a blank Rolodex card in there just to remind you that you can tuck things back there if you want. This is some of my favorite tea-dyed paper that I make, and it's got bubbles in it. I love when the tea leaves bubbles on the paper. And some whale tail tabs on it. This page is out of a book of calculations. It's from 1916. Wherever possible, I've written the publication of the book down in pencil down there. You can erase that if you like. I had fun with some stenciling here and there. This is from a vintage children's composition book. This is from a birding book. Here's the page from the play Pericles. And there's some faux cellophane tape that I've used. I actually did tear the page by accident, and I thought that's the best time to start putting in cellophane tape. Here's one of two permanent ribbon bookmarks that I put in. So there's one closer to the front of the book, and there's one closer to the back. I put a little ruffle here with some pretty fabric that I thought looked nice. And this is actually a piece from an old little golden book from the spine. On the end here, let me lift up so you can see, there's a little locket held with a pin, and it opens up, and I put two little pictures inside. And those pictures are actually from a book I have on the life of Queen Victoria, and those are actually two of her grandchildren. So I thought that was a cute little detail to put in there, and that clicks shut like that. Antony and Cleopatra. Some tea-dyed steno paper. This is from a book from 1949. I like when there's numbers. It makes a cool background for collaging. More of the composition paper. I love how naturally yellowed it is. I didn't do that to it. A page from Othello. Now in this book, you'll notice here when it was closed, this beautiful lace that's hanging down, that's actually on a journaling board that comes out, and you can put it wherever you like in the book. These are kind of cool because you can put them behind a page. It gives you a firm surface for writing on. You can also have fun collaging on it. I did a little bit of collaging on this side. You can see here there's a little baby in the tub, and this is from a book I have on boxes of matches from all over the world, and then a label, a shipping label there, and I've sewn around the edge. It's all sealed, but you can still collage on top of it and then reseal it again if you like. This is the other side of the contract that I used to make the back of the cover. They look different in color because I used different distress inks just to have fun with it. This was actually, if you don't follow along when I'm making journals, this was my test page to make sure that this turned out okay. And I loved this so much, I thought, I've got to find a way to include this in the book. And that's when I thought, let's make a journaling card. Now, I have to remember where I was. Where did I have you in there? I turned that page. I turned that page. You were in there. And here we go. There's King Lear. Let me move this over. few more pages of unusual sizes. I like that. It gives a little variety. I love this tab that's kind of peering at you back here with an eyeball. Again, no rhyme or reason. This is from an old Pitman shorthand book, I believe from the 1940s. It might be on the other side of the paper. We'll see. And if not, I can find it because I still have it over on my shelf. This is from an old anatomy book, Anatomy and Physiology. And there's your internal organs. That's from 1918, and it's written up here. This is one of the original end papers that was in the book. As I said, the cover was blue at one time. And these were so pretty with some gold marbling on them. I wanted to still use them wherever possible. So this is a tip out. And you can write, collage, glue things in. On this side, I've made it a tuck spot. And this is out of another old book that I was using the cover from. So more of the Pitman shorthand. I'm going to have to find out what year that is, and I'll write it in pencil when I'm done here. This is from King Lear. More of the gold marbled paper. A little tab here. No rhyme or reason for where I put the tabs, except I put them where I thought they looked cool. Timon of Athens. Here's some bulleted tea-dyed paper. A little bit of Edith Holden in here. I made a center fold tuck spot out of a page from an encyclopedia on clocks and watches. So there's several tuck places in here. This was actually the original contents page from the original text block of this book, and I made it into a journaling card. And that has an original Denison's label up there. I believe those are from the 1950s, but I'm not sure. And again, no rhyme or reason. I had fun stamping and stenciling, and I think that turned out really nice. There's still room for you to do some collaging here and here. This was in the beginning of the original text block, a picture of the man himself. And again, more of the original marbled paper that were the end papers, and room for journaling on the back. So I just tucked that there. Over here's another pocket, so I tucked a few little odds and ends in there that can be journaled on the back or used for collaging or just having fun with. The other side of Edith. On this page, I put a receipt from a receipt from the 1940s. You can see here it says 1904, and then you add the year. That came from Happy Mail, and this is actually a flip up, and you can write maybe something secret underneath right there. And I stamped up there with one of my old vintage stamps that I have. It's a long way to go with when you got 312 pages. A little of the sari silk that I also made the ties out of. I just ruffled it and sewed it on. Julius Caesar. This page is from a book I have that is a guest book and a log book for boating or yachts. So I kind of like that. It was a little tip of the hat to the crest that used to be on the cover, which had a compass on it. And I made a tuck spot here because it was too big, so I flipped it up and glued it down. And then this is a vintage Valentine, the kind that we used to give out when we were in school. It's an old one. I think it actually was from the set from the envelope that I used previously, but I liked them right there in that little spot with the navigation and the yacht book. So I thought that looked cute. This is a book from 1918, I believe. The Amateur Mechanic. There we go. I couldn't find the year for this book, but it's old. That's all I can say. There was no year in it, and even when I looked when I tried to Google it, nothing came up. It was a book for tourism, for traveling around in England. And then this is the other side of that yacht book. And again, there's just more tuck spots there. And it's tea-dyed. I love when papers have these holes there for binding. Another little tab here. And here's the other permanent bookmark there. And this is... it's a tag, but it's double-sided, so it's been sewn into the signature. And I used a little bit of steno paper and used it as a stencil just to make that a little more interesting. Of course, here's Macbeth. And half of a page out of a book. I think this was out of a Scottish recipe book. Isn't she cool? I love her. We're getting there. Had a little fun with a little bit of collaging. There's a few people, couple looking rather dapper. I cut them out of a book. I love looking for old black and white photos in books. This little tab can be taken off and moved somewhere else. I just happened to put it there. I collaged an old map onto the front and back, and it can be moved anywhere you want. So for the time being, I tucked a vintage guest check from an old restaurant. You can see the server there with a piping hot meal there. Hamlet. This was out of an old children's book. Again, not sure of the year. I love that little picture. Thought it was pretty. Let me get centered again. There we go. This is from a book of business that was published in 1906. I made a pocket and collaged on it. This pocket was made out of the album cover for a '78 album. And I just put in a little journaling card that I created. Hamlet. More sewing and ruffles, and I made a bit more use of the little golden book spine foil up there, just for fun. More ruffling. A little bit of lace there. I really had fun with this book. I'd been so immersed in Christmas, and this was just a pleasure to do. This is an original statement from 1947 from a hotel that I received in Happy Mail. Titus Andronicus. This is from a reprint of a I believe 1906. I'll have to find out, from Eaton's catalog that I received in Happy Mail. I made use of a lot of Happy Mail in this book, which was just so much fun. Yeah, I'll have to find out. I do have that somewhere. I believe it's 1906. There's the other side of that receipt or statement. This is out of an old dictionary and a little bit more of the original end papers there. I just sewed it on. I thought it looked cool. And I made use of both sides. This is just a little bit of bias tape. And again, a bit more of that dictionary. And then on this side, the last little bit that I had left of the end papers, I made a pocket out of it. So you can see, and I put a fussy cut on it. It's a photo of an old children's toy that looks like a shoe. And then, of course, it's not a Sunnyside journal without a Two Nanas bookmark in it. And on the back, I actually have a scan of an embroidery that my mother did. So I thought that that would be pretty as the paper for the back of the bookmark. In case you don't know, the Two Nanas bookmarks, I just call it the Two Nanas because that's my Nana, and this is actually my mom, but my kids called her Nana, so I just call it the Two Nanas. And on the back here, I put a library pocket, and I put a library card in it. I aged them both. They actually were quite new, even though I found them at a thrift store. So I aged it, and then I used my manual typewriter, and I put the author and the original title of the book on it. And I really like how that looks. And then there we go. We made it to the end of 312 pages. My goodness. So this book will also go home with a few extra pages from the original text blocks for you to have fun with. So this will go home too with, I've been calling her Juliet. So those extra papers will go home with Juliet to wherever her new home is. Now this book will be listed later today in my Etsy shop if you're interested. The link is down below. And as soon as I know better what time, approximately, I usually will post that on my Instagram account. So if you follow me on Instagram, I'll post ahead of time. And also, if you actually follow along on my Etsy shop, usually Etsy will also notify you when a listing goes live. So if you are interested, you could go over and take a look. So thanks so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this flip through of Juliet, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Take care. Bye.